and welcome. I am Marya Kazmi, and this is Pain to Power, where we turn our struggles into our strength through healing in community. And today I'm super excited to introduce our guest in a few moments, who has taken her pain and turned it into her power. But I was thinking about this idea of pain to power this week. And in particular, I will be featured on another podcast called Mental Health Monday, in which I had a conversation all about the balance of, is it more important to have the pain or is it the power that we focus on? And the truth is that the pain is inevitable. We are going to have the pain. We're going to have the pain in many, many, many different ways. But the power is where our choice is. And so we may have to go through the pain and we don't have a choice, but we always have a choice as to whether we're going to choose our power. And so hopefully today, as you engage and follow with us in this conversation, that you are finding your power through your healing, through the tools that we talk about, and through just the journey of what it is to turn your struggles into your strengths. I'm super excited to introduce my guest tonight. She is making a comeback for us today. She was originally on season 1 of Pain to Power, episode 6. I'm so excited to welcome Whiskey Girl, a poet, a performance artist, a mental health advocate, and truthfully, an unapologetic truth teller. Please welcome the beautiful, the amazing, and incomparable Whiskey Girl.
Hey girl, hey.
Hey!
It's so good to see you.
Oh my God, it is like lovely to see you again and to have you here and to share more of your story. Like, I love that we are doing the continued evolution of whiskey and all of the things.
Yes.
I have
That's
to
exactly
say,
what it is. I love it.
it is absolutely right. And Ja and Logic and friends say welcome back, right? And Whiskey is part of our I Rant network and part of the fam as well. And please, if you
I'm the
haven't done
prodigal daughter right now.
I love it. And if you haven't done it yet, please make sure you hit the bell and you subscribe to this channel, like, comment, share your thoughts, and definitely jump into the chat because we're here with questions and we love to know what you're thinking and engage you in the conversation. Okay, so Whiskey, I've got to tell you, because I don't know if I've ever told you this, but the very first time that I saw Whiskey Girl was in 2019. And my very shy little butt went to a spoken word event that I was so out of place in and had never, ever done before. And it was your performance that made me feel like there was this permission to speak the truth of what I was about to get up and say.
Oh, okay.
And when I got up there, honestly, like, I still have the video and it's your voice that I hear going like, yes, girl. Like, and I was like, that was everything. That was everything for someone who had never gotten up on a stage and read poetry and isn't a poet, struggled with that whole identity. Like, that was everything. But I think that's very much who you are, is you give permission to so many people to speak their truth.
I love that. No, I really love that because I was thinking about this the other day that no matter where I go, I went somewhere to PG Community College and I was supposed to facilitate a workshop there, and it turned into an open mic. And I realized wherever I go, the mic is open, and it's something like I was trying to figure out why that was or what that's about. So you just gotta blew something wide open for me. Okay, there's something about performing in a way that gives permission for other people to voice their stories, and I actually really like that because I think that's the whole purpose of sharing art, and I think it's turned into this kind of like, I am good, only listen to my voice, only I am the authority and the truth teller. And it's like, no, we're all kind of called to do this work, to speak our truth in whatever way makes sense. So actually, like, knowing that, okay, that's the thing. Okay, I give permission. I'm putting that in my bio.
You absolutely do. Well, and you create the spaces, right? Like, I mean, what's amazing about you, and we're going to hear about this because I really want to learn all about this. And I want my audience to learn more about you. So before we get into it, I know that it's the way that you create spaces. And that's what we're going to talk about for certain, because there's a beauty in how unique and authentic those spaces are, and the way that you add in all these elements of artistry. Um, but before we do, the audience does not know you as well. So tell us a little bit about who Whiskey Girl is and what you do. And then, yeah, let's get into it.
Y'all watched the first episode I was on. We ain't doing no, in a nutshell, I'm just a regular ass woman, and that is the brand. That's what it is that you in all your regular everyday life can be extraordinary and move about the earth in an extraordinary way. So, my background is like very like uninspiring. Grew up middle class, and just kind of dealt with being a late bloomer, being a nerd, not really being the it girl or whatever. But it was a passageway into getting to know myself in a very deep way early on, and just kind of understanding the nature of people when you're outside of things. And it just kind of allowed me to build a life that's very uniquely my own. And for me, my setback with that feeling of early rejection and not belonging, it made me susceptible to like some shady, relationships, romantic relationships. And that was something that really just pummeled my self esteem. And it's been years of work digging out that trauma of allowing other people I'm in intimate relationship with to treat me a certain way, what that did to my psyche. And through art, I've been able to kind of like tell that story ad nauseum in the way that has brought healing to other people and has helped me to heal. And it's just beautiful to be able to tell the story from the other side of it, because I've been telling it in misery for quite some time. um, but it's like the relief of finally being able to tell it from this countenance, from this I am happy and I've created a life for myself that makes sense for me. And yeah, it's just, I think it's the regular, especially Black woman story. I'm a single mom of two girls. I have them that I have to raise a certain way in this climate, in this day and age. Have to make sure that their self esteem is good, that they can be powerful and strong women, and that they understand. That's why I love this show, that they understand that pain is a part of it, and that it's not something you can avoid. And if you live a lifestyle kind of avoiding pain, then you're just going to dive more deeply into it and have to dig yourself out even more. So
Absolutely.
now I feel like I have a healthy relationship with pain. What it is to understand it, what it is to alchemize it into something greater, and just the larger understanding of humanity, in that we're all really broken and we're going to inflict pain on each other. So we have to be wise about what we do when the pain hits us and when we inflict pain upon other people. So it's this kind of vicious cycle, but there's a lot of beauty in it. And that's kind of like how I live my life, just seeking after that beauty. And part of the beauty is just being able to tell my story ad nauseum. I'm an artist, so I can do these poems forever. And I can release as much trauma as I need to. And it's always going to be someone there that needs it. So it's just a very freeing thing. I feel really the freest I have ever felt right now in my life. So it feels
Mm.
good.
That's a beautiful journey of evolution you just like synthesized, right? Like that was it, right? And thank you for doing that for our audience members who don't know you as well. And because that's so important. Like, yeah, you're a woman who is a mom and just making it through, right? Every day, the way that many of us are. But you have, again, like, you've learned these lessons through your
Yeah.
life and through experiencing them, and you're helping others now to heal from them. I absolutely love that you're telling this story from the other side. And knowing you since 2019 and having seen you since 2019, it is so evident that you
Oh,
are in
good.
this different place of center and peace. And it's such a beautiful thing, because I think it gives, again, just like speaking our story gives us, everybody, permission. I think it gives this mirror for everyone to be able to see that wherever you are right now in your journey of trying to figure out yourself and coming home to your heart and soul,
I
you
love
can
that.
get there. Like, look at
Yeah.
it, right? Like, we can
Yes.
get there. there's
Yeah.
work that we have to do, but we can get there.
And there's work, there's pain, there's pain, there's pain, and I can't share that
Yes.
part of it enough, because I think after you've been through so much trauma and pain, it's the thing that you want to avoid, but speaking it is healing. And that was just kind of the, I guess, the energy I got, that I started off like you, a blogger. So through writing through that pain, it was a freeing thing. And then now, I don't know if you've seen this going around, but Dr. Gabor Mate, he's a physician, like an addiction specialist, Canadian, and he's like in his 80s. He's doing this whole podcast run on all the major like mental health podcasts and self
Hmm.
healing podcasts, and he's talking about the high numbers of autoimmune disease within women. And
Yes.
he's talking about it's because how we've been socialized to be kind and to be silent and not to share our stories and to suppress, suppress, suppress. And it just gave me a renewed energy about what I'm doing. It seems frivolous, but it's very important. It's life or death for women. And if I can walk into a room and share my art and it ignites women to want to share their stories, then I've done my part. Yeah, Joe, that's wild. We out here dying. Like, this
That's
is
no,
crazy.
but that's so true. I love that you brought that up because I saw that
Yeah.
recently and I thought to myself
Yeah.
my own issues of health and how like I resonated with. I was like, oh my god, that's the truth. Like that's the absolute truth. Our
It's
body keeps the score of what we do not
exactly.
express, right? Like we contain it, we're feeling it, but we're like, and we're sometimes in this martyrdom space of like, but this makes me a good person, this makes me a
It
strong person,
doesn't.
and
It
that's the
doesn't.
prize we're looking for
Yeah.
versus this makes me authentic because I'm honoring what I'm actually feeling. And that is the power.
And that is, for me, that's the wild femininity piece, right? It's the, we've been socialized to feel like, oh, this feels good, to be malleable and to do what other people want me to do, and to be the softest, the prettiest, the kindest. But when you actually get into your authenticity journey, you might find, like, my thing is like, oh, I'm not that nice. That's not my thing. I choose kindness. I love to give warmth. I love
Right.
hospitality. And when my energy is there, it's there. But I don't, when people want me to bend to their will or want me to behave a certain way, I become unkind, because it's like I'm resisting this kind of control you are putting over me. So I think that's the real thing that women need to understand, is that on this healing journey, on this journey of figuring out who you really are, no one's going to like you. And when I say no one, I mean no one. Like, you're going to have to trash all the old friends and get with the new. You lose so much. And then just when you think you're done losing, you lose some more. And it can feel so painful, and it can feel almost as if you've healed in the wrong direction, and too much is
Mm.
happening and it's too traumatizing. But I just want people to know that's the wild part of it. People probably won't be able to handle you in your wilderness, but that's okay. It's part of the freedom journey, and it's beautiful. I love sharing from the other side. Like, come on, everybody, let's go.
But I love that. I love that because that is the part of femininity that we don't embrace, right? Femininity is supposed to be demure and quiet and
Oh,
not an
that's so not
interrupter,
true.
not an
It's so not.
interrupter, right? But it's not.
Femininity is disrupting, and that's the thing where I
Absolutely.
think there's the gender wars and stuff, because people think or have moved femininity into this box where it's like, oh, you're docile, you don't complain, you're just kind, and you cook my meals. No, the feminine puts your feet to the fire every time, even if it's not a verbal thing. Just the way that women are to show up, and we get to just be, we mirror back some energy that people get to see, that, oh, you see yourself, you see that you're not treating me correctly, that some things in your life aren't correct. You're going to see all of this, because it's what happens when you're in your authenticity. When you show up a real person, a bold person, and just in your truth, it disrupts everything. So a woman who's empowered to do that, you're going to disrupt everything. So it's not this soft, demure, docile. It can be that sometimes, but for the most part, it's going to be, very lioness energy.
I love that. Lioness energy. And
Lioness
but that is something that I think women struggle with, right?
Mhm.
Like there's this so much undoing of narratives to get to there. This is a journey, even in that, right? Like it doesn't happen overnight. You have to go
No.
through a lot of trials, you have to go through a lot of sacrifice, you
Yeah.
have to reinvent yourself in many ways, many times over, right? um
Yes.
what was your moment when you felt like you started to see things from the other side?
Oh, I would say this morning. Right now.
Right now.
No, when I started to see things from the, oh, you know what? My healing journey is very much tied to my art. So it was around the time that I met you. I started doing a lot of body work, because I realized I was dissociated from my body. And through doing that, it literally healed me out of a relationship because I became so in my body. I realized that I was rejecting this man that I was spending all this time with. And I thought it was like, oh, I have butterflies because he's so cute. But it was like, no, his angry energy is disrupting your nervous system. Like you can't be
Mm.
around this person. So around that time when I started incorporating body work, being more intentional about like exercising, walking, moving emotions out, is around the time I noticed the shift where it's like, oh, I have better tools to deal with pain now. And as I walk, as I move my body, I become clearer in my mind. And now I can piece everything together. So, it's like, you walk into a room and maybe parts of you dissociates because you don't want to be judged, you don't want to be seen by other people, so you make yourself small. But it was around that time, getting into my body, where I noticed everything. I walk into a room and I notice who reacts which way. I notice certain dynamics in the crowd, and I realize, okay, this is why I dissociated, because I see too much. This is too much information. I don't
Mm.
need to know like who's hating on me or giving me these kind of stares. I don't need to know who's fighting in the corner or what all of this energy is. This is too much information. But that's when I realized, oh, it's the shift, because you are, for, I hate to use the term, but you're awake. You are awakened now. You are feeling all the senses. You are taking everything in, and you're not just ascending above it and not present in the room. So it was around that time I just became more present in my body. And I had to start to feel the pain of when I am feeling rejected, when I walk into spaces, or when there is an energy that fights against like the femininity I bring into the room. I had to relearn how to interact with people again, because it's like you feel like you've read the end of the book and you know how it ends, but you still have to live out the story. So, yeah, I think that was around the time where it was a pivot where I was like, oh, I'm on the other side of this because it could be more painful, but I understand what this is and I understand what this journey is going to be like for the rest of my life. It's not all the fun, freedom, yay, I'm happy. It's happiness because I feel the pain deeply and I feel all of my emotions very deeply. And, it's a pain that is worth it, but it's going to be there, especially when you awaken and you allow yourself to see.
Mm, allowing yourself to see is a powerful thing, right? And I love, because I think you just outlined that, almost like that opposing idea of what what the therapist was speaking about, in terms of how we have, women are so prone to autoimmune diseases because we are almost swallowing it all right into our body, and our body is holding it but not expressing it. And what you've
Yeah.
described in body work is this expression of body, of movement, of knowing and being in touch with your body, to hear it as your
Yeah.
voice versus shut it down. Because
Yes.
we then, like, literally, that's how we move then through the world. Either we're shutting ourselves down, or we're hearing ourselves and we're making decisions based on what we hear.
Yeah. And I think that's the tough part, is making those decisions, because we want to, and I think about this a lot, like, the feminine is prioritizing of relationship over ambition, purpose, that kind of thing. So if you are socialized to do this, then you want to preserve relationship above all else. So artistically, I was getting into business with people I had no business being in business with. I was making decisions and moves based on trying to be favored or likable, and having it be like, oh, if they like me, then they will support me, then they will give me love. And that's not necessarily how it works. How it works is that you get to just be. You get to exist in your body, and you get to be who you are unapologetically, with the understanding that you do your inner work, right? You can't just be like an asshole. Like, you still have
You
to
want to
adapt to
sometimes, let's
the.
be honest.
I
But
mean, well, sometimes, sometimes that is necessary, and that's fine
okay.
too. We love that wild feminine energy too. But what it is to do the work, to soften, to do your own ego work, to humble yourself to your own tendencies. All of that is a thing. But I think the major part is staying in the game and allowing yourself to see what reality is, and not talking yourself out of it. Your brain does that wonderful thing where it tries to steer you into goodness. It tries to protect you from pain. So it's like, oh no, you didn't see that text pop up on his phone. He loves you and you're good. And it's like, no, you saw what you saw. He's cheating. You need to make a decision, and there's going to be pain in leaving this relationship. But ultimately, there's the freedom of, you saw the truth and you acted upon it. And the more you do that, the easier it gets. It gets a lot easier. And then you start to see the results, like, on your countenance. I just feel happy because I know, like, I am a sovereign person, that I am in charge of everything here. I can't be easily manipulated. It's not I'm not bending to the will of other people that just come into my life, and I don't feel that need to audition to keep people around, or to live up to people's approval cycles. I just feel like I get to just be, and that feels so good.
That really is. It's the best feeling to just
It's
be.
the best feeling.
It like there's so much empowerment there, and I love the way, like, I mean, that choosing yourself
Hmm.
is is so powerful in our healing. And it is, like you said, I think it gets easier, and it
Yeah.
feeds you a little bit more. And then you're kind of like, and it's funny because I literally just posted something and I talked about this idea, is that I'm no longer playing it small
Yeah.
sometimes, right? Like this idea of like, oftentimes I don't introduce myself with like, oh yeah, and I have a show and I do this and I do that, right? Like it's like, yes, I'm Marya, right? Like, and that used to be
Yeah.
how I introduced myself. But it's like, when you own everything about yourself, whether or not it's going to be scary to anybody else, and like it's a different feeling, right? Like you showing up. I love it. We got Miko in here. Um, love Miko Reed, also one of my guests on this show, and our fellow spoken word artist. Welcome,
Look at that showing
Miko.
up.
All here for whiskey for certain, right? We are here for you. But I like a that's an evolution of like understanding of self, and like recognition of like, look at how fucking amazing I am. Like I don't need to go through this. I don't need to watch you get texts on your phone, because the truth is I'm the fucking prize, right? Like I am it, and if you don't see that, I do see it. And I
Yes.
think it shifts from this pick me culture of, you should be picking me, you should be seeing me. But it's like, no, I don't need you to see me, because if you don't see me, that's on you. But like, I see
Yes.
me. I see me.
Yes. And it's very empowering, but to initially start making those decisions, like you said, it's painful. And especially, like, I love you said picking me. Listen, we was part of the pick me crew. That was my thing. Pick me, choose me, love me. And what do you
Oh,
need? I got you. Like, that whole, like, if I serve you enough. And it's so funny because I grew up in a traditional household, but there were some things that I missed. And I missed the part where my mom wasn't like in servitude to this dominant traditional male. Like, behind the scenes, she was the queen. We all knew that my mom ran things, but she also cooked the meals. And when she was a housewife, she was a housewife. So it was interesting that I saw my mom move very powerfully within our household, but something about that did not translate when I was in a relationship. So I did that whole thing where it's like, how can I just serve this person so that they will love me. And it's a bad contract, it's a bad exchange, but it's kind of how women are what we're socialized into, and kind of learning through healing my relationship trauma and learning that I had low self-esteem areas there in relation to my relationships with men. That was the bulk of it, where it's like, okay, how do you find freedom here, and how do you not seek permission from this other person that doesn't even know you. No one can know you as deeply as you know yourself, or love you as deeply as you know yourself. So it was working on that relationship with external validation. Like, what does it look like to validate myself and have that just be
Mm.
enough? And I feel like it's been awesome. Like, now I love myself so deeply. It's the blueprint for how to love me. So if you're not coming with the energy and matching my energy, like, I'm obsessed with myself. If you're not obsessed, then we're
Right?
gonna have a bad time.
Right, but that's so true, right? Like you're not in competition with the roster, you're in competition with me and my
Yeah.
joy of life and the things that I know I can give to myself. That's a different kind of like there's this is the bar.
Yes, and I set the bar myself, and I think it's so funny. Like, the rhetoric is like, "Oh my gosh, you'll never find anybody with those standards." Okay, and I think that is the major risk. And I think I talked about it the first time I was on here. That's why I did not want to embark on a healing journey or work on my self esteem, because I knew I would have to leave relationship as I know it behind. If I want a romantic relationship, if I want to be in something loving, I have to diminish myself, and I can't love myself fully. I can't show up fully, because I know that the rhetoric is like, oh, instead of meeting those standards, I'm going to clown you, tell you they're too high, and tell you you're going to die alone. And at a certain point, I was just like, being alone is popping. I'm gonna die alone then. Cool. Like, plot twist. I feel like we all die alone anyway, like, logistically. So that doesn't bother me.
Truth.
So it's just kind of like reworking what that validation looks like, and then getting to the bottom of what it is that I actually crave. And it's like, we do crave relationship. I crave relationship. I crave intimacy. I crave love. But there are other ways to get those. You can deepen intimacy within your friendships. You can love on your kids. You can spend intimate time with yourself, get to know yourself deeply. Like, this, a couple days ago, I had an incident where my daughter's so embarrassed. I got into a yelling match with the trash guy. And the deeper work that I had to do, and it came up for me so fast, and I was very proud of myself, because it means I know myself well. But also, I was very cognizant that this is deep work, that comes from an intimacy that I have built with myself. I boiled it down to, I realized I had an outburst with him because I'm back in bad energy with men. Sometimes I get like bitter, and I feel like I'm not being loved, and I feel like a special
Mm.
neglect in that area. And I was like, what is it? And then I was like, I think I need something, and I need, like, some I need to be okay with men right now. I need to reach out to my guy friends, and talk to them, and be civilized, and receive that love, because that's something I've been suppressing. I just came off like doing this all women showcase. It was a lot of work. I was bumping heads with some of the dudes on the set, so I was feeling like a neglectful, like, oh, I hate men, and here they go again. And I was like, okay, I'm suppressing the part of me, the feminine energy of me, who just wants to just like talk and chill with masculine energy, and just understand and respect, and have that back and forth. So how do I honor that? Because I see that I'm teetering here, because I yelled at the trash can. And it seems like such a small
You got
thing,
the
but
brunt of it. You just look,
right,
you were in
forgot.
the wrong place with the wrong at the wrong moment. Like, I'm
Oh,
sorry. Like,
listen, it was such an outburst, and the thing is, he got me is because he was a Christian dude, even though he went off on me, and he's like, "Don't go off on me," and so I said, "Listen, I apologize, but also move the trash can out of my way." So we had this whole like bizarre exchange that really embarrassed my daughter, but it was me learning that this outburst was a result of me suppressing part of my feminine. I've been like running this show, I've been around all women, I've been the leader of this thing. I want to soften and just not
Mm.
not be in that energy. So it took a lot for me to get to the place where I can recognize, like, okay, what are you suppressing? What are you resisting? What is wrong with how you're showing up, and how can you balance that out? So for me, most of the time, it's just like balancing out my energy until I can get to a place of like calm.
I thank you. Thank you for sharing that, because I think what you just did for everybody was outline one, the honesty of the fact that healing doesn't mean you're completely everything and you're always together, right? Like, but also, like, you broke down this journey of digging to the root of an emotion
Yes.
and knowing where it came from, because emotions, and this recently someone was on my show and talked about emotions are data, right?
Hmm.
Nat mentioned that, right?
Yeah.
That emotions are data, but then what do we do with that data? Are we just gonna like ignore it? Do we assume the same roles and just do the same thing we always do with the data,
Yeah.
or do we stop and take into consideration the entire scope, right? Like, yeah, he pissed me off with the trash
Yeah.
can, but it's really not him. It's
It's
me.
not
And I think
him.
that's
It's
the
that I'm not
key.
feeling safe with masculine energy again, and I'm blowing up. And I realize the opposite of love is not, hate. It's indifference. I don't feel indifference. I feel hate. Like I'm annoyed. Like I'm pissed off. And it's like, oh, because there is something in me that just wants like to be loved by a man right now. There's something in me that wants to soften and that wants to just have that. And it's not necessarily a thing that has to come from a romantic relationship. It can be like hanging out with my dad and like watching a game with him and listening to his wisdom or something like that. It can be like reaching out to my brother or going to hang with him. It could be something like that. So just, I hate that what it is to examine an emotion and then break it down and actually do the work to I guess be better in that moment, because I had to face, as much as I want to, be misandrous and lead an army of women against men in the gender wars. The heart of me is that there is a need for men in my life, and especially with the trauma that I've gone through in my relationship. So there is something about the grounding presence of masculine energy, and that's something that I cannot deny myself, even though I don't want to be in that vulnerable position. But part of wild femininity is that when it's time to be vulnerable, it's just time, and you give into
Mm.
that, and it makes everyone better.
Yes, and I love, love, love how you're lifting us up. I want to go to our chat real quick because Miko says, "LOL, do it, lead that army." Yes, come on now. We are the soldiers in your posse here, ready to go. I think I also so no hold backs TV. Welcome, Tasha, another guest from the show, and our Ranters fam. Indeed, knowing where that energy came from and addressing it are the small steps that are needed for certain.
Yeah.
But thank you for me, because I said to someone yesterday, actually on the podcast that I was on, for Mental Health Mondays, this idea of you know being uh you know being soft again, right?
Yeah.
Like that need to find the balance of like, I don't have to hold it all of the time, right? Like, and I think what you just did, and I was saying how like I always learn from people on my podcast things that I need to take away, is I have been in this struggle space, because when you are a leader, when people look to you, when you are, I mean, I have this anger towards men a lot because I'm raising three men. So like I like
Yeah.
that, there's a
That,
frustration, right? There's a
yeah.
lot. There's a lot that comes in, right? But I'm taken away from that. Like, okay, that's maybe what it is, because they also have, like, you can tap into the healthy ones, the healthy representations,
Exactly.
whether you're a man needing it from women or you're a
Yeah.
woman needing it from men, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's so important to recognize that, and to recognize the distinction of how intimacy and love can come in so many different forms from so many different people.
Mm.
It's freeing.
Yeah. It
I
is
love
free, and I
that.
think it's a safe space for women to operate from, since we're so, our currency is basically, are you in a relationship? Do you have a man that's loving you, that's claiming you, that's covering you, that's choosing you? And it's just like, but then you see women break out of that curse and start to realize, oh, I'm an individual human who has my own purpose and walk in this life. But then it still veers back in that direction. And it's kind of like, well, the understanding that, well, yes, it is a human need. It is a human need for this intimacy. It is a human need for us to want that. And the other thing I work on is just like balancing the energy within myself. We all have masculine, feminine energy. So I create spaces for myself artistically where it's like, okay, I provide the structure and the foundation of this show. I make all the decisions. I lead out on this, but I've also created a container for myself to be free in my creativity when it's time to perform, when it's the day of the show. So it's like the inner masculine energy in me creates space for my feminine to flourish. So I don't feel like I have to wait around for a healthy masculine energy to come along. And that was my thing with the trash guys, that I'm not feeling safe. And safety is my work. It's not the, oh, I need a man to come around and make me feel safe. And no, how do I get back to feeling safe within myself? And for me, that was like, okay, I need to soften, allow myself to receive and admit that, okay, maybe I do need like some male advice or some male like energy. And maybe that is something that would be helpful. And admitting that, sharing that, all of that, I hate it. But it's just it's kind of work what the work is, especially when you get into wild femininity. It's not this cookie cutter of it's going to be different solutions using different tools in each moment. And I just want people to know that it's wild, and you're going to have to process a lot of shame, process a lot of embarrassing feelings for what is in your nature, but also what does it look like to give in to your nature, to bend to the things that are in your nature, and
Mhm.
not make excuse or apology for it. Just be like, this is what I need right now, and this feels good, and this replenishes, and that's okay. And I'm gonna be a bad bitch tomorrow, but today I'm a
Right.
cry.
And today I need a little love, right? Like, and that's okay, but that's
Yeah,
okay. Like, I think it's also knowing like which of those are your narratives and which are the narratives that have been put on you. Like, I think that's the
yes,
discernment, right? Like, because
yes,
I mean, I've learned things about myself, I think, in this evolution of trying to figure out my own healing too, in that same way. And just like knowing that, like, no, there's like some things. I'm a pretty traditional person in relationships, I'm realizing, right? Like, there are
yeah.
things that, like, no, like, I believe everyone can have what they want. But for me, oh, I'm very much about the gender roles and certain things, right?
Yo,
Like, and
can we talk about it? Because it's difficult being that kind of woman when
and
you
I'm
also
okay with
identify as
it.
feminine.
But
Yes.
it's very difficult. Oh my
Is
God, the
there
number of
do
women who
people
are
in
like,
feminist circles,
that's
like,
not
you get looked down
feminist.
upon?
No, no, pamper me. Yes, pamper me. I want pampering, and yes, I need a leader in my home, and yes, like, no, all of that. Now, can I also do all those things? Absolutely. Do I want to
Yeah,
always do all those things?
yeah,
No. And that's
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Like,
And when
that
you're
that
fighting the larger
permission.
fight, you get wrapped up into what the larger, like, feminist movement is for a lot of women. And the realization is that we ride at dawn.
I love it. Tasha said, "We out."
We never. Well, it's just understanding.
Thank you, Ja, as always. I love it.
Listen, we were behind the dumpster. I was dropping my daughter off. Not
Oh.
dumpster fire.
It
We were
sometimes be like
behind the
that too,
dumpster,
though. Let's be
blocking the
honest.
middle of the street for a while, and I literally watched them incinerate a couch, like an 8 sectional couch, and they're putting each piece in, and I'm sitting there patiently, and I'm like, fine, whatever. I work from home today. I got time. And then they literally went up the street to every house, and you know how usually the trash truck moves over to give cars space. They weren't doing that, so finally they stopped where I'm actually pulling into the driveway of my parents' house, and he just grabs the trash can, throws it in there, and then he throws it in the middle of the driveway where I need to go. And I just went off, and I was like, what the? And I start beeping the horn. And then it's so funny because he flips out and he's like, I'm a child of God. You're not going to talk to me like that. And that's my trigger. It's like, okay, he's a believer. He believes in God. So I'm wrong here because I believe too. So we're supposed to be loving. So I said, I apologize, but also move it out of the way. So it was a whole big outburst, but it's good to know that those outbursts are me having triggers from, suppressing certain energy. And I realized I was being irrational because I was like, why is he not taking care of me? He sees me. I'm a mom with my child in the seat. He knows I have to
Mm.
get somewhere. Why can't they move out of the way? Why aren't they taking care of me? I'm tired of people not taking care of me. I'm tired of, and that was the lashing out. And it was so like crazy. But what did they say? If it's hysterical, it's historical is the saying. So if
Is that,
it's
I never
something
heard that, but that
you
makes
get
sense.
hysterical about it, Ja is so funny.
Ja is off the hook with these. Okay, I love it. Why is he not taking care of me?
Yeah,
That
it's that
that
feeling of
but that's huge.
it's a reoccurring feeling that I know I have to die to every time it comes up. The thing about relationship trauma, if you've been through a string of like abusive relationships, neglectful,
Yeah,
whatever, you
yeah.
don't just heal from it. You still have those triggers that come up, and you got to be on top of them. And they come up in the strangest places, like with the trash guy. And I was very proud of myself for noticing where all of the feelings were coming from. But that comes from, yeah, the deep intimacy I've created with myself of being like, I have to know me more than everyone else because it's my work. Ultimately, this is my work. Someone can come in and make life easier for me and do the things to help me soften, whatever. But ultimately, it's my work to know what my triggers are and utilize better tools to get past this stuff and show up as a good person. So it's a lot of work.
It is, but thank you. And we are proud of you from the outside in, right? Like that,
Thank you.
because you're helping the rest of us, right? And to share it here, like what a great moment. Like that all happened for the right reasons because we all needed to hear it today.
Yeah.
And Geologics and Friends says, Whiskey, I appreciate your transparency and I miss your rants. I'll do better to check in more. See, now Geologic is certainly one of those men, right? Like who gives that, right? So we've got
Yeah.
people. There's a lot of people who are looking out that can give the energy in the right way,
Yeah.
and do care for us, right? And I think it's a
Yeah.
matter of not painting and that's a dangerous thing right now too, because I think a lot of women and men are painting these like wide brushes of
Oh
who all
yeah.
men are and who all
Yeah.
women are, and it's not, right? um
Yeah.
but so I want to shift a little bit because we've been
Yeah.
talking about wild femininity, and what I want to know is, so how are you incorporating all of this amazing wild femininity and the pain of audacity? Where does all this come into what you're creating right now for the people around you?
Oh my gosh, it's always a part of my art. Usually my art accelerates this, and I got to a point where I realized that I became undefined within my art, just wanting to do more. I love writing at my core. I love spoken word poetry, but then I was like, I want to incorporate more movement. What does it look like if I work with dancers? What does it look like if I add music? If I add more of a vibe? If I make it an immersive storytelling experience? And I realized in moving in that direction, I don't fit into any genres now. And there's kind of this pressure for me to define what it is that I do. And I've been against that because I'm like, I don't want to define it. I get caught up in the labels and it distracts me from just making free art. So right now, I'm just kind of doing the like wild feminine is the phase that I'm in when it comes to my art. I'm just doing what feels good to me. If that is like doing like we just came off of last weekend this wild femme showcase where we were in Harlem Theater in Baltimore, and we showcased four women, plus the show opener, and we just gave them the room, their long sets to just do whatever feels free in their art. And for me, that feels good. That's basically where I am. We get into these ruts and we want to be defined, especially when you overcome something and you feel like you've softened and you feel like you are a certain kind of feminine or person now. And I realize, oh, I can't ever be defined in that way because sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I'm not
Mhm.
operating out of my feminine core. Sometimes I have a lot of masculine energy, like a lot. And most of the time, it behooves me to operate out of that space. A lot of the time, it behooves me to balance between the two. So I'm not always operating out of like this feminine core energy that I would love to just be floaty and feminine and free. I'm not that girl all the time. I have a household to run, and things don't work like that.
And yeah, but why do you have to be? Like, I think that's just it, right? Like, you don't have to be anything all the
Well,
time. You get to
exactly.
choose
And
exactly
that's
what
the
you want.
thing. That's the thing about the conditioning is when you've been conditioned that you have to fit into one category or box so long, when you break out of that box, you'll always steer into another box and you have to keep steering yourself out. So this was me steering myself out of like as much as I enjoy talking about like my feminine healing journey. I don't want to box myself into like, okay, this is just where you are and what you have to be. Because as soon as someone puts a label on me, another emotion occurs and I want to explore that, or another idea occurs and I want to. So I just want the freedom to do what I want.
To be, the freedom
Yeah,
to be, right? Like, and I think that's exactly it, right? It's that freedom to be, and be is so open ended as to what that can
yeah,
transform to. It could be to be mean and angry at times, to snap at you, to take care of everything, or to do nothing, right? Like, to be is
yeah,
just to be whoever it is at that moment.
yeah,
Um,
and allow that to be. And I've gone through this phase of sharing the feminine woe in lamentations, in rage, and touching into that. But then I'm going into a space where it's like, okay, there's also the vulnerability of what love looks like, and love without the yearning. Before, when I've spoken of love, it's been of these relationships that had control issues, and I was like codependent, and it's like these flowery lamentations of yearning after some guy. But then it's like, what does it look like to truly love, to love deeply without wanting to consume or possess, and or to be possessed? So now the more vulnerable space is to talk about the fact that I do still want that didn't go away, that in all this healing and all this, I would love for this to be a journey of me, like, I cut off my senses to pleasure and I don't need anybody. But it's like, no, it's been a second awakening that is like, oh, I do want these things. And what does that look like in this moment to share what it is that I want? So sharing about what it is that I truly want in this phase of my life, turning 40, and what that looks like, where people try to age you out and push you out of things. And you're like, no, I'm very relevant. And you should be looking at women who are older, because the opposite of getting older is death. So we don't have these like plans for the longevity of our careers or our art or anything, because it's just like when you stop being young, hot, and sexy, I don't have any more art to give. And it's kind
right.
of like that's the thing that we're socialized to believe. But it's like, no, it's just it's wild and free. I'm 40. I don't have to worry about the male gaze. I don't have to worry about looking young, appealing to a certain age group or audience. This is the most free that I can be in my art ever. And I just love it. Like, on the other side of the pain of it, because sometimes I do be like, oh my God, I'm old. But when I get over that, I'm like, I just love it. I love it here because I'm free. Yeah.
And that beats the youth just itself, right? Freedom, honestly, like, I think if you were, and I wonder, like, what do you feel like is something you thank your past self for in this journey?
That I thank my past self for. Oh, you know what? I think her for, even though it was wounded femininity at the time, I do thank her for her courage to love as deeply as she did, and without, pretense or walls. When you love that fully and freely, you open yourself up to a lot of hurt. And I was devastated as far as like the love relationships that I was in and what I thought was love, but it was all because I was so open. And I don't, I miss that openness. I have an awareness now that it can't be a wall, right? You don't want a wall. You want like a gate. But you need to guard your heart. That's like a thing you have to do.
Yeah.
And I'll sit by myself and I'll be like, my God, like I know I just want to let my guard down, but I have to keep my armor on because it's not safe. We just have to be clear about the season of people we're in right now. It's a mess out there. Like, we can't be
Absolute
delusional.
facts.
We can't be delusional, and we've created this other realm of social media where like the rules of reality don't apply and there's all these separate things. So it's just there's a lot happening where you do have to be guarded. And I don't miss the phase in my life where I wasn't guarded, where I was so open and I did open myself up to that hurt, because it meant that I tried with everything that I had. It meant that I had that softness and I was willing to go the extra mile to love. And I think that's beautiful. I love very deeply now. It's just in a different way. And I appreciate that about myself more. And it's harder, but I do like the way that I loved was very beautiful. I commend myself for being brave enough to do it. But also, bitch, we ain't doing it no more.
But also the gate is small, right?
Yeah,
Like
also we've
you
created a gate. No, the gate is high. There's a moat.
yeah, like right there, there's some dragons
There's a
around it.
yeah,
Like there's a
there's a
lot of
fire
stuff,
breathing
right? Like
dragon.
there's a lot, right? And you got to come right to get through this gate. But I love that you said that, because I see you as, and I see so many women like this with so much love to give and so much warmth, and like, and that and I would say I'm probably one of those women too, but we have had to put barriers up where it's
Yeah,
perceived that that's not the case, because it is a protection of ourselves. And I
yeah,
think that what we are fighting to figure out is, how do I myself find my balance, because my innate natural tendency is to be loving and giving.
yeah,
And I don't want to have to sacrifice that for the fact that others don't appreciate my loving and giving. I just
yeah.
have to be careful about where I'm loving and giving it, right? Like, and that's the thing,
Yes,
right?
yes. It's
And
just the boundaries you put around it.
absolutely. Dialogic and
Yeah,
Friend says, not loving strong again, or loving the wrong person strong for the wrong reason. So is that a question, Ja? Not loving strong again,
loving the wrong
or loving the
person
wrong
strong for
person
the wrong.
strong for the
I
wrong
think
reason?
it's just it's always going to be the risk, right? And you cannot tell. You can't tell where you're pouring how the person's going to react to it, because we all globally just have this problem as humans receiving love, and even knowing what it's supposed to feel like or look like. So, anytime you engage in love in pouring into someone, then you are taking the risk. So it's the taking the conscious risk this time. Like, is this something that I want to do? Do I want to pour into this person? I think the difficulty is that when people are loved well and they get better, they want to abandon. They want to be done. And I had to learn that this is a side gifting that I have. It's called, I guess it would be called like a apostolic gifting. It's kind of like you're good at setting people up for success and then they go off. So like when I work with people on teams, it's like, yeah, this is great. Oh, Whiskey, I feel so refreshed and this has been great working with you. And then I'll never see them again because they're off to do their thing. And I
Yeah.
realized that I'm going to love and lose a lot, because if you're just to spark energy in people, or you just to love people in a season, maybe it's not like the longevity that you get out of it. So I think that's something that has helped me to balance, is to take it on as a, this is seasonal, and I'm going to be very present in this season of loving this person, of aligning with this person, and I'm going to pour what I have into it. And then when the season is over, we just pray the season ends well. It's not like a horrific, ending of friendship or something. But when the season is over, you just kind of honor what you had and the lessons you learned from it. But finding that balance, I think, has been a difficult thing. But I don't want to repress love, because I feel it. I feel it when I'm suppressing love, when I want to be more loving,
Mm,
when I want to soften more, when I want to
mm.
give in and I have my guard up. And it's like, okay, am I going to talk myself into taking the risk, or do I just need to leave this alone because I don't have capacity, or I'm too scared? I don't have this. That's the thing too. It's like I would love, like, I have this one poem I wrote a couple of weeks ago where it's like, I want so much to be open. Like, I want it and I can feel it. And with certain people I can feel it's on the tip of my tongue to just let my guard down and be. But at a certain point, you have to call it and be like, "Oh, I don't have this, and I'm scared, and I'm sorry. So I'm gonna withdraw and try to pour into myself until I can get there and take that risk. But sometimes I just can't,
And that's okay too, right? Like,
and that's
because
okay
we have
too.
to pace ourselves in risk taking. I think, as you're saying that, I keep thinking of Kirby's song "Love Is a Risk," and it absolutely is. Like, and that's
Yes,
it, right? Like, and for people who have been harmed by the risk of loving the wrong people, it's an even bigger risk because I have built myself and healed myself from this thing to go back to a place where I'm allowing myself to be vulnerable again
yeah,
and hurt again is so
yeah.
Um,
It
I
it's terrifying.
it's terrifying, right? And so our tendency, right? Like we'll pull back. I'm gonna pull back. I'm gonna pull back. I'm gonna pull back the love. I'm gonna pull back all that. Our chat is blowing up. We gotta honor it. Miko says, "I love that whiskey, seasonal love." It also scares me a bit. That's another story for another day, though. Girl, you can
Yeah.
be back on the show too. Look, we do reunions, as you can see, Miko.
Right.
Um,
Listen.
at Logic and Friends says it comes back when and from where you least expect it. Stay mighty, but I get you.
I
And I
like
will
that
agree
point,
with that.
actually. I would agree with that. I
I
would
will agree with
say
it.
that's something I think about a lot too, is that realizing like reciprocity happens in energy. And a lot of the times where we pour love into, we expect it to get it back from that source. But it comes from other places. That's been a tough thing for me in the poetry community. I feel like I've poured a lot into the community and I kept pouring in expecting to get love. And it's like, oh, it's not gonna come from there. But I've seen it in other places and it's been a beautiful thing. Just understanding how the frequency of love works is that you just pour into the system and the system will give it back to you. It just might not be from where you wanted it from, but you better have gratitude when you do receive it, or you might miss it and be miserable. So that is so true, Logic.
Yeah. And I think it's okay to give love without expecting that, right? Like it's just
Yeah,
that, right? So Miko says
yeah.
reciprocity happens in energy. Yes, I love that. Definitely. Come on, whiskey girl. All right.
That's
Josh says we need the poem. We do need the poem. We need the poem. And then,
what
and poem for
poem?
president.
How the poem gonna be president?
All right, poem for president. Can we hear the poem? Are we ready for that?
uh, I have to find it in my little thingies. This is like a you said, where am I with my art? One of the things I started doing was these like stream of consciousness poems that feel very vulnerable to me. And kind of like sharing them online. So I'll
I
see if
love
I can
it. I
find
love it.
it.
Well, as you're finding it, I'm going to call out our chat a little bit. So you keep looking. And Miko says,
Okay.
Mr. Jones, welcome, Mr. Jones 169. Also, one of our renters, fam. You have to look at the pro and con to the person. Also, can you handle or not what that person dishes out? Absolutely right. Because not everybody is built for all of us. Some of us need some specific people. Like, I think not everybody's built for everybody else. Thank you,
That is
Mr.
so
Jones,
true.
for sure, for sure, for sure. Um, and I think I saw Miko had another comment in there. We'll elevate that. The poem you just wrote, Whiskey. I love it. Yes, the poem you just wrote. Look, Whiskey's been on here writing poems all night. Let's be honest, right? Like we got bars, we got lines, we got
That's
videos
so
to go with
funny.
them. The trash man might be the next poem we got going on, right?
I might have to do a short story about that because it was just this eye-opening thing, and I wouldn't have paid attention to it if not for my daughter, whose reaction to it was like, "Girl, you lost your mind." And I
Well, wait,
realized,
can
okay,
I
I
ask you?
overreacted in
Did
this
you
moment.
explain to her where it came from? Like, did you have? How old is your daughter?
She is 13. I did not explain it to her. I did enjoy that she witnessed it because I want them to see me as a person and know that, I'm not perfect. and
Right, right.
but I did not explain that part to her. No. I don't think we're there yet. But I did apologize to the guy. I yelled my apology. Hopefully that was enough for her to, you know, see me repair. But I found the poem.
Okay.
Um, oh, wow. Oh, so I guess this is perfect for where we are in speaking about wild femininity. This is me kind of like figuring out where I am and realizing that I'm nowhere, and that's okay. This is called Chaos Unraveled. Sometimes I miss the former parts of me, so recklessly crazy, certifiable mess. That is when they all loved me the best. Now it's silence as I cut myself open and reconfigurate, unmix all the flavors so I recalibrate and finally survive these seasonings that balance out my savory, alchemize me into sugary sweet. Thoughts come to me a little more neatly, and I'm grounded here. And even when I see you, I pretend not to because we all deserve our privacy. And as I work on my transparency, I only become more opaque. Walls so high, if I let people in, my God, how will they escape? I am not healed. I am just devastated, still thirsting for empty pleasures that satiate. I just know how to keep quiet now. I've been healing too loud to let them know these fragile walls are constantly in danger of crashing down. I am always treading water. I fantasize what it is to drown simply for the release. My brain is crumbling under the weight of the truth it has to keep. Lips fighting against the tide, lest honest words leap. Meanwhile, heart will always do the same thing and bleed. Leak all these secrets that keep bothering me because I can't see how suppression is supposed to feel like free. I am here to speak. I am here to live as open book. I am here to be equal parts chaotic and lovely. Mouthful of seeds to plant gardens, yet still full of shit. Lest we forget the ugly it takes to show up imperfect, you will never know if your time was worth it. But I promise you that I'm legit, unhinged. Nature walks by day and alcohol binge, conquer me and then save, leave a while and then stay. I don't know how to love God in a way that makes me look sane or believable. I just know that I am flailing and it's beautiful to grow and forgive myself for all the things that I may never know and love myself through the times my heart chooses to close when I want so much to be open. I miss the brightest parts of me. I allowed the darkness to enclose, and out of trauma, I froze. And I hate that no matter how warm I appear to be, inside, I may always feel a little cold. And that's me like processing the fact that I'm very warm. I love people. I love giving the feminine energy, but there's a part of me that can detach, and it's a protective part. And it's a necessary part of my journey, but I just have to I just have to make peace with it that I need this separation to preserve myself. So I'm just coming to terms with, I love people and I love being around people. I can curate shows, I can create an atmosphere, but there's always a coldness that people will sense from me. And that's just like the barrier that comes from being loved roughly. And, I'm working on it, but it might never go away.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And I mean, I
Yes.
I loved it. And that title, Chaos Unraveled, I saw Miko also commented, right? Yes, the title for sure.
Thank
Chaos
you. I do not
Unraveled.
listen. I do not like sharing poems I have not memorized. I'm so stickler about that. So this is a vulnerability. I'm so weird about that.
Well,
So
that
that
was a gift. That was a
yeah,
gift.
it's
So
it's
thank
nerve
you.
wracking for me to read off my phone and stuff. It's like a perfectionist thing. So
And yeah, Dialogic says thank you for sharing for sure, right? I've been healing too loud. Like there's so many points in there. And I know Miko pointed out another line that stood out for her and you absolutely killed it. Yes, you did, right? Certified mess, that's when they love me the best.
yeah, because it's
Yeah.
true. when you're just so chaotic, that's when everybody wants to be around, and then you finally get it together, and it's lonely. It's crickets.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Um, all right, so we are almost at time. I want to give you an opportunity to share your projects, but before you do, I always feel like, you've shared so many pieces of learning and empowerment for so many people on this show today, but what's a universal truth of healing that you think you want to leave for us to reflect on?
A universal truth of healing. The first thing that popped in my mind was this, so I'll share it. If especially if you deal with perfectionist tendencies, that healing is just harm reduction. You are never going to save the world. You're never going to heal enough to make everyone at peace around you. You're still going to be the villain in the story. It's just taking the responsibility of doing your personal work to reduce harm in the world. And you're just doing as much harm reduction as you can. And for me, that realization helps me to like relax when I'm like, I was not a good person. What did I do wrong? And how is that going to permeate throughout this and ruin everyone's life? It's that catastrophic kind of like thinking that black or white, like I'm either good or I'm bad. But
Mm-hmm.
we're all in the gray, and we're all just trying to figure it out and do the harm reduction thing. So, yeah. I would say just yeah, be easy on yourself. And once you're easy on yourself, you loosen up for other people, and it just like
Yeah.
helps reduce harm, and that's all you can ever do because we are screwed. So all you can ever do, it's like climate change, like all we can do is like buy us some time, but this thing is
Right.
gonna
That's it. That's universal truths, right? Universal truths of just who we are. We are fallible and, we are broken to some
yeah,
extent and are all in this place of trying to heal. I love it. Harm reduction. Thank you.
yeah.
Yes, Miko agreed, right? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Follow Whiskey Girl, but Whiskey, you have two new big projects, Love Poems for the End of the World and the album Love and Spiritual Warfare. You want to tell us a little bit about them so everybody knows where to find you, find them, and all the links are below as well. So make sure that you click on them and you subscribe and like the show and share your comments of everything that resonated with you today in this
Yeah,
conversation. So
so
what
lovely.
tell me.
Okay, so Love and Spiritual Warfare is literally my spoken word album that I completed spring of last year, but didn't like share with the world until January 1, 2024. So I've been learning the ropes of what it is to promote an album and move into doing more music stuff, and it's been really fun. Love and Spiritual Warfare is this intense project that is basically about that journey of coming out of low vibrational, low self esteem, loving into what feels good, into what I deserve, and embracing whatever that looks like. So it's like the journey into queendom. And then it's not just queendom, it's what it is to rule as a sovereign, what it is to be fully in my faculties and to live life this way. It kind of just talks about like the spiritual ramifications for how we show up in this world. And I don't think people think it's realize how serious it is when we are low vibrational, when your self-esteem is low, what that means for you spiritually and what that means for your mental health journey. So just me outlining what that was for me and in grueling detail what it is to walk into the light. So I'm very proud of that project. Love and Spiritual Warfare, love ampersand spiritual warfare can be found anywhere you stream your music. And I'm just really proud of the project and the places it has taken me. And the new project I'm working on is now that I feel like I've told this story fully of coming into queendom. Now I want to talk about the softer parts of royalty, which is where you're human, where I am still a woman that has a lot of love and wants to give love and receive love. I'm still a woman who has those like I'm in this crisis now. It's like I'm very ambitious. I have a lot of dreams and goals for myself, but also I do want to prioritize relationship. What does that look like for me? Do I take a break? Do I open myself up to dating? What am I looking for in the season? So Love Poems for the End of the World is basically the poems that I'm writing in this season where like we have this new person as our president
Mhm.
And there's wars and rumors of wars, and there's all these systems that are coming crashing down. And still in the heart of my humanity, I'm like, well, I just want somebody to hold hands with while we watch the apocalypse. So it's like, what does family love look like? What does romantic love? What does friendship love? How does love look as the world is ending? And how do we strengthen ourselves and still believe in love and hold on to love when all of this chaos is happening around us? So I'm currently working on that project. That poem is likely going to be in it. And it might start off as an ebook and then a mixtape and then like an album. So there's so many places I can go with it. So I just feel like excited to yeah, share this new place that I'm in, where I'm finally ready to be fully vulnerable. I've always been transparent and a truth teller, but there's a way you can do that without being vulnerable, and people will perceive it that way. I've gotten away with that for years. So now it's time for me to actually be vulnerable and share who I am and what it is that I still think about and dream about. So, yeah, I look forward to it, to finally allowing myself to be fully seen. This has been a long time coming.
Well, we are front row and center for all of it. Thank you. Thank you for sharing so much with us today, for bringing us to understand so many new things about your evolution. I'm so grateful for your time today, and that we brought this back, right? Like, this is this was awesome.
I
Please
just
make sure
wanted to
you
talk to my
go and
homegirl.
follow. I mean, right? Okay, look, you can call me too, just so we know. Like we could do part 3, and we can chat in between. I got it all. We got it all, girl. And can you tell me when you are next on the stage? Because this is the thing. You have to go see Whiskey. You have to see her on stage. You have to be in audience of the experience of what it is to be a part of and listen. And it's interactive. You are a part of a show if you go to see Whiskey shows, right? And definitely you create the space for new artists or budding artists or artists that are seasoned to come and perform. But where can they see you live if they are in the DMV right now?
Okay, I'm about to go on hiatus.
Oh,
I,
that was a great setup. That was a
um,
great setup. Thank you.
I am. I do have a hosting gig in Manassas every other month. Non Perel's music showcase. So sometimes I'll perform there. But right now, I'm going inward with the art. I just want to explore some more things and tighten up some things that I've been working on. So, yeah, I'm a big proponent of rest, and I'm in this really cool wave right now. Like, people are booking me. I feel popping, but no, I need to take a break. So I will be doing, I would say probably the next thing will be a virtual thing I'm doing with the PG Community College, coming up in a few weeks, like mid-December. So maybe people can look out for that. But my Instagram at Whiskey in the City is my events Instagram. So that's where I post where I'll be and stuff. But
Perfect. I
mama
love
need a
it.
break.
Please do. And take it. Take it. I
Yeah.
love that you're doing that. And again, giving us all permission to do that. But while Whiskey's taking a break, please go buy the album, just like Dialogic and Friends says. Make
Yes.
sure you hit all the links. You're buying everything. And follow her on Instagram, because yes, I know that we're gonna find out exactly what's happening when it is ready to be like the break time is over, right? Because it's coming. We know.
Oh
Thank you
yeah. When I pop
so
out, I pop
much.
out. But when it's time to
Right.
rest.
I know. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it, and I can't wait. Thank you so much. This was
Thank you.
awesome. You are amazing, and such a beautiful soul. And I just, I love it. I love it. And thank you to all of our Ranters fam and friends and all the folks who are in the chat who shared. Please make sure that you comment in the actual YouTube section to tell us what stuck with you, what resonated. Like, subscribe, pass this along, and tune in every Sunday at 8 p.m. for more episodes of Pain to Power, where we're turning our struggles into our strengths and hearing the stories of triumph through so many different lenses. Thanks again, Whiskey. I love it.
Of course.
So grateful for you. And thank you to my producer and director, Montaigne Dialogic, Mr. M, and to all of our I Rant family and network, which we support and we love. Peace, love, and light.
Going from overlooked to overbooked, taking what's mine, now I got them shook. Remember me like I'm Sicily, bustin' loose from the roots on the hood. Treating me like the hell we try to say I don't marry him, I'll be sitting on the shelf. Yo, I'm not self-made cause God made myself. There's an I in win and the O in one. Who needs to buy a bow cause I'm holding some? Where you hear that I'm folding from? Could be in a laundromat, but I'm not folding none. Where I'm at in my life, I don't need no bums turning dudes down unless he Oprah's son. Cook the beat till it's overdone. I could show you how to do this, or I could coach you, hun. Bring real sisterhood back, all games and fun. The kumbaya, and we shall overcome. Misunderstood. Say bye to fake unity. Hello to opportunity. Say bye to male dominance. Hello, big confidence. Say bye to fake compliments. Hello to huge accomplishments. Say bye to the counterfeit. Hello, women empowerment.
Look, you couldn't tell me I wasn't born to be great. Queen in the making, waiting in place. Say your grace, ladies, take your place. Since we made it, then we might as well scrape it until it break. Unapologetic poetics rooted in lessons. Been in the yard with these bars, I put my reps in. A ball stepping, trying to prosper and form weapons. When tragedies turn into triumphs, it's all blessings. Cause mama ain't raised no fool. I graduated out the matrix, I done paid my dues like deja vu. Seeing it won't change my view. This Queen Gambit doing damage when I make my moves. Ooh.
Say bye to fake unity. Hello to opportunity. Say bye to male dominance. Hello, big confidence. Say bye to fake compliments. Hello to huge accomplishments. Say bye to the counterfeit. Hello, women empowerment.
No matter how rich, no matter how poor, no matter how thick, no matter how small. Every woman that's living is the root through it all. Playing mommy and poppy whenever the baby's called. She giving it her best shot when daddy drops the ball. Meanwhile, mama can never ever afford the fall. See, this is for the mothers, single or otherwise, left with a pillow soaked from all of her silent cries. Believing in guys that are only wire for lies. Cause she looking for love that the father didn't provide. Go find it in yourself, baby, nobody else got it. Don't think the pain of your flesh means that you ain't a goddess. We was made in her image, so we reflecting what God is. Trust me, mama, you got this. You just gotta trust the process. Know that you a queen on this board and not an object for a man to make his option. You're a marvel like the Loch Ness, you was private.
Say bye to fake unity. Hello to opportunity. Say bye to male dominance. Hello, big confidence. Say bye to fake compliments. Hello to huge accomplishments. Say bye to the counterfeit. Hello, women empowerment.
Anything you can do, swear to God I could do it better. Sewn together like a Coogee sweater. 90s baby, yeah, you know the era. No competition, but you know who better. Got it good, rolling out the hood like I'm Tiger Woods. Bunker shot, reaching for them clear blue skies. I'm a juggernaut, I'm bugging out. The higher power is a woman, no confusing that. We feel y'all feeling, how you feeling, misconstruing that. Booing that, baby, cooling that. Yeah, we true to that. Do the math, we hurt more when you hurt. The empathy less, sweetie. When we around, it's all for the needy. Just be careful for who being greedy. Heard you.
Say bye to fake unity. Hello to opportunity. Say bye to male dominance. Hello, big confidence. Say bye to fake compliments. Hello to huge accomplishments. Say bye to the counterfeit. Hello, women empowerment.
My world has slowly crumbled around me countless times, and every time I rebuild with the pieces I've been given to birth something so transformational and beautiful that no one else knew might exist before it was shown to them. These moments tend to coincide within my romantic path. The universe has been telling me to focus on the revolution and not romance. It has over time given me the tools, resilience, and light to turn my pain into power. And only now do I see that the key to this always resided in the love and knowing I had in myself, not from the external sources of family or men. The message I have been avoiding might be that my time in this world I had existed in was not to receive love, but to put it out there for others to see, feel, and heal through. Revolution before romance moves pain into power.